Welcome in to Discover Crypto and Blockchain Basement. I am the Druth, and boy, howdy, markets are on fire this morning, folks. We crossed over some key levels to the downside on Bitcoin, all on the heels of fake data for jobs reports, causing a massive, massive mistake to be made by the Federal Reserve, and now a potential pivot and a major shift in expectations for rate cuts has just happened overnight. We're going to take a look at that, what it likely means for price, and timelines for how long do we have to accumulate lower price projects before things absolutely get too frothy. Welcome to the show, one and all. Make sure your chat's up here. Pull you guys up. You're off to my right here. I'm going to put you in front of my face so I can see all your beautiful names. Everyone joining me on the show today. It's a Friday. It's a blessed day. It's a beautiful day. I'm feeling good. What is up, Mr. Manawak? We got Carbon Futurist, Aped In. Crypto on sale today. Just got some more ETH. Shout out to you. People are tripping over nothing like usual. You know, I'd agree with you on many aspects. What I'm tripping out about, man, is the fact that the Federal Reserve has been making macroeconomic monetary policy based on fake information that they knew was fake. Finkel is Einhorn, man. Einhorn is Finkel. What is up, Tito? Pepe? Forrest Williams, WP, DeFi Tard. What is up, everybody? So now, before we get into it too deep here, I want to make sure to let everyone know where to follow me on the good old Twitter, where you can find my rants, my late night trolling of, public figures, whoever might be in need of a good trolling at Druth Crypto here. And also make sure you're subscribed to the channel, Discover Crypto. And yes, I'm running the blockchain basement, as you can see from my wonderful microphone, here on Discover Crypto. Super excited about it. Blockchain Basement still getting our crypto deep dive alpha, but make sure to join us every single day here at 1 p.m. and oftentimes doing emergency streams with Mr. Joshua Jake when things get hot and heavy. He's on kind of night crowd. He's turning into a night trader. So shout out to Joshua Jake for working it hard and making some big trades this week for the traders in our Discord group. Good job, my man. Now, the world is on edge. The crypto holders are worried about their bags as a sea of red has overtaken our eyes. Oh, shield me from the pain, even though my shirt is red too. So I'm kind of matching. Bitcoin currently at $114,900. It is over. It is over with. We lost $115,000. X was ablaze last night and early this morning from the pullback. Ethereum down to $3,578. BNB under that $800 mark at $759. Solana sloshing around. Solana is straight sloshing at $166. ADA sloshing around at 72 cents. And XRP, oh my God, it's over there below $3. Prepare yourself for the doom and gloom of all of humanity, because your bags of speculative altcoins in a disruptive environment on the heels of regulatory clarity for these vaporware tokens to actually finally get used by macroeconomic players have dipped by 20%. It's over with, right? That's the sentiment on the market there. Just hold on, folks, because I got some bullish, and honestly, I hope that we pull back real hard. I really hope that we pull back real hard. This morning, we are seeing some problems here. We got some turbulence. Cabin crew, prepare the passengers for some turbulence here. We have dropped down to 114,693 now. This is on Bitstamp, and we got some blood diamonds. This is Market Cipher A showing us the blood diamonds on the 4-hour. Not a great look. Not a great look in the short term, but really, I'll turn this off because something I was thinking about as we were sitting here sloshing around in this range over the past few days is it wouldn't be too crazy to come back down to at least around the white line. Like, I would be very, very shocked and almost too bullish if we were able to bounce off this zone. More so what I'm expecting is this range, which you've only been in for 25 days, to test out the top end of the last range. We've done it a few times on Bitcoin. I'll back up a little bit more so you can actually see this data a little clearly, a little bit more clearly, rather. I wouldn't be surprised if we did retest previous range top, right? Coming back down and testing that previous top at about 111, 112K makes a whole lot of sense for me. Look at what we do. We pump up to the new spot, we dip down to previous shelf, and then we get that bounce from there. So really, this is becoming a stair stepping up into the right. Max Payne is up only. Get stupid rich if you're in early. Cry and weep as you see the number continuously progress up and to the right if you don't hold any. That's the choice is yours, right? But this is the situation that we have right now. I really wouldn't be surprised to see us revisit this $112,000 zone in the short term. Now, with the bad news, I mean, there are some big headlines that came out late last night, early this morning, that caused quite a bit of liquidations. Nearly $1 billion in liquidations from crypto market in the past 24 hours. This is not even including everything that's happened, since 11 o'clock this morning. The charts have been moving very quickly. It can get overwhelming at times. Quick reminder before we get in all the data and all the trading news: if your mental health is tied to performance of crypto bags, you're probably overexposed. There's great advice from DeFi Investor. Risk what you can afford to lose. That's the only way to stay sane. You know what? Just sometimes you need to take a breath, take a step back, and look at the charts, because the markets are freaking out over new Trump tariffs going live today. New tariffs going live today, but also a massive revision to job reports. Big downward revision in non-farm payrolls for May and June. 2 months, they revised from 144,000 down to 19K for May. And in June, they went from 133. Oh, jobs are great. Down to 14. Not so great. They're working off of fake data. On the heels of this bad news, fake data debacle, we did clear and are now in that CME gap zone. So there is some good news there that we are indeed filling this CME gap that was sitting here from 114, essentially 114.4 up to 115.5. There is still, I believe, a CME gap around 92. Yes. So this is the other CME gap. I might as well put a box around this to scare people for the next month, right? You just never know. You got to keep your heads low, kids. You might get chopped off on a CME gap grab by traditional finance. Let's put this bad boy right here. So this is the still remaining CME gap. It starts at 92,000, right about 92,000, and then ends at 92.5. Just a little guy right there. So we do have that. Thankfully, we did clear this recent one. We're currently in it. And in the short term, man, I am leading the trading alone this weekend. I tell you what, I'm just gonna let her sit and brew. I'm gonna see if we can bounce off this current CME gap that we are filling. We did obviously just grab a lot of liquidation. But the devil's in the details. And who's fake data? Whose? Why? What fake data? Let's take a look. Let's do it here. I got it. We got 258,000 fake jobs between May and June reported. These previously good job data points were absolutely used in the decision-making of Jerome Powell this week at the FOMC, where they said, no, we're holding rates where they are. Economy's not doing too bad. Your job numbers are looking pretty good. We're going to hold the rates at where they are right now. Well, the problem is that they made that decision off of falsified data. Now, I want to know your opinion. Do you think that the Federal Reserve and Jerome Powell knew that a revision of 250,000 jobs was coming a day after the FOMC? A day after they were set to put their rate cut decision out to the rest of the market participants, risk assets? Do you think that they knew? Or are they innocent, right? That's the question here. Now, when we look at this, let's kind of dissect this data a little bit more. A weak jobs report, U.S. economy added 73K in July, way below expectations. May and June revised down by 258,000. 75% of the July job gains came from healthcare. The unemployment rate ticked back up to 4.2%, and wages grew by 3.9% in the past year versus the 2.7% inflation. But guess what? They get to fake this number too, because in inflation metrics, they get to pick and choose which commodities they include and which cost of living and what type of cost of living they include in the inflation data. So they're suppressing the inflation data. They're saying 3.9% wage growth is great. You're outpacing our fake data point. Congratulations. And there's a lot of infighting. You know, Trump supporters are out here. And I voted for Trump, just so we're clear. But this is getting kind of silly. The Biden administration wasn't creating any new jobs. Millions of their job numbers were fake. And what he's saying, there was a huge chunk of jobs that were faked by the Biden administration. Biden job numbers, throwback to 2024 in April, on the April Fool's, literally April Fool's joke with teeth, at least according to the Philadelphia Fed, who estimated at least 800,000 jobs were not real. But this number ended up being 1.3 million jobs ended up being not real. And guess what the Federal Reserve did? They had interest rates set at 5.5%, higher than where they even are right now. They were keeping those interest rates high off of fake artificial data, right? And so now I was opening X. I was laughing because I'm seeing really funny comments about this Douglas Bonaparte. I'm starting to think Powell should have cut interest rates, right? Starting to think that Donald Trump, of course, crashing out in beautiful fashion. Too little, too late, Jerome. Too late, Powell is a disaster. Drop the rate, you fool. The good news is that tariffs are bringing billions of dollars into the United States. So he's counteracting that. But there has been a major, major reaction to the Fed CME tool in the prediction markets on how many interest rate cuts we should be expecting for the remainder of the year. Now, this amount of rate cuts absolutely will affect the valuation of risk assets and much of Wall Street. Let's take a look at what the actual market participants think is coming now that we realize 250,000 jobs in those 2 months are fake. We're looking at 82% likelihood of a rate cut coming in September, the next Federal Reserve meeting. It's at, they didn't reset this. I know it's in September. I think it's September 25th. 82% likelihood of a cut there. Now you move to October, and this is where it gets crazy. So October, previous to this announcement of fake data, October looked like they were going to be able to hold rates. Instead, what's happened is now another cut is expected in October. Okay, it's 62% likelihood of a cut. And then you go to December, and now they're looking at another interest rate cut. So now what we're looking at is 3 interest rate cuts before the end of the year, right? So 17th of September, good looking out. Thank you, lazy guy. This is setting up a good extension. Like, we're nice and cozy when it comes to being undiscovered in utility altcoins. I would say that. I'd say it's easy to make fun of utility altcoins right now. Yes, alts are getting wrecked again. It's easy to do it right now because they're down, right? But what I saw with the framework laid out by the SEC and the Secretary of Treasury, Scott Bessent, yesterday, in my basic, when I really consumed all the information that was going on out of the White House and out of the SEC, the framework is actually being set up to tokenize the entire market. Now, I'm pretty happy about this time frame of people being in fear. It gives me more time to buy good projects. What is up, Kelly Kellum? Good to see you, my man. I live to be wrecked. Let's go. Good to see you. Shout out to Kelly. He was out there in Hawaii during the tsunami warning. Good to see you in the chat, my man. Now, this is a great post from TJ Discover. Accumulation season ends in September. And I definitely get that vibe. Looking at the CME tool, looking at these projections shift in a very aggressive manner towards multiple cuts that were unexpected. Now we're seeing that shift. Fed decision coming up in September on call sheet. They're looking at a 75% likelihood, even higher percentage likelihood of a rate cut of 25 base points. So it's a time to stack. I know the pullbacks can be scary, can be a little bit uncomfortable. But we have a good amount of time, and really the steadfastness, the outlook of crypto has never seemed so clear to me. I was always curious on how and what regulatory clarity would look like. And now we're literally being told exactly what's coming by the Secretary of Treasury of the United States regarding crypto. We're going to watch this. This is from Cointelegraph. This came out this morning. Let's check this out. Absolutely great.
I'm grateful to be with you all here today. America is a frontier nation. Our people have always pushed boundaries in exploration, politics, science, and technology. To be American is to be constantly moving.
It's all like inspirational background music. What he's so excited about is the ability for the Federal Reserve to not be the only one in control or able to print dollars, right? Treasury, marriage into this circle USDC relationship allows for a massive, massive expansion of balance sheets. And really, what's going on right now at the Treasury is very, very intriguing. The US Treasury has indeed changed the game on multiple different fronts here. We have trillions in short term debt, long end buybacks, crypto soaking up supply, Tether, USDC, all of these crypto organizations leaning into Treasury T bills. Quietest move towards yield curve control we've ever seen. Now, this is a further explanation, and really a kind of a deep dive of it. The interest rate conversation within this is very worth bringing up. If you guys want to go check this out, it's at stockmarket.news @_investingq. So right now, the Fed's benchmark interest rate, the federal funds rate, is at that 4.2 to 4.5%. That's one of the highest it's been in nearly 20 years. That's because T-bills follow this rate. Borrowing short term isn't exactly cheap. In fact, interest payments on the U.S. debt have nearly tripled since 2020. Interest payments have tripled in 5 years. This year, we'll spend $1 trillion just on interest, more than Medicare and possibly more than defense. Fastest growing item on the federal budget. This is what Elon Musk was crashing out trying to fix. Ended up, they don't want to vote on any of these massive cuts to our huge fraud that's going on. No, we're going to vote on that. So we're going to deal with that stuff later, Elon. Wonder why he got so upset. All right. So why didn't the U.S. issue long-term bonds when the interest rates were near zero in 2020 and 2021? The answer is we missed the window. Instead of locking in those 30-year loans at 1%, we're now forced to borrow at over 4%, a very painful strategic blunder. Secretary Treasury Scott Bessent admitted this mistake, and now he's making a bet. Keeping issue cheap, short-term debts, and waiting for interest rates to fall. But if rates stay high or they rise, that bet will backfire on the Treasury. Now, there's another twist. Treasury started buying back long-term bonds, something it really hasn't done to this degree in quite a few decades. There are some major, major changes happening on the underside. And really the Clarity Act, the Genius Act, all of these different laws that are being pushed through are opening up and setting the guide rails for how we can expand the balance sheet into crypto, how we can absorb this new tech. And the ethos of escaping the current system in crypto is all but dead. The 4-year cycle feels all but dead in this situation because now we have a marriage budding up between Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent and stablecoins. And with that, the ability to create value and then hammer in more purchases, more Bitcoin for the nation states, taking it out of retail's hands. You'll have Jimmy and Johnny excited when the Bitcoin hits 200. They'll yeet the whole bag. And then we just continue to scale up. It's the fear of mine playing out in real time of this up only Max Payne event. And now with that, I see a lot of people on the back end, they look at the Biden administration and like, all right, he was very anti-crypto. They were anti-Bitcoin, but really the writing within the executive order about crypto that Joe Biden released included some key parts of information about the energy connection to Bitcoin, where you can capture excess gas emissions and really end up being a green product, Bitcoin mining, that is. Now, this is Joe Biden in his executive order I'm referencing. Now we're seeing people start to take advantage of something like this. This is Daniel Batten. My wife sent me this story. Very, very interesting. It's a satellite reading from a landfill we're looking to finance a Bitcoin mining project at, emitting 1.5 tons of methane every hour. Methane is 84 times more warming over a 20-year period than CO2. So that means if they capture this, they can mitigate over 1 million tons of CO2 emissions every single year. In 200 climate technologies, I've never seen a technology that can reduce as many emissions per dollar invested as Bitcoin mining. Now, when I see folks like this realizing that they can capture this much methane and mitigate those emissions, then you're going to be playing into investment interest into green activities. There's 35 similarly sized projects of this scope that this guy's looking at, and Bitcoin would become the world's first emission negative network. Something very, very key to keep an eye on. We have all of this. Yeah, we want to sit on Bitcoin to kind of bolster and hold up our fiat dollar. In the background, there are mechanical applications to Bitcoin mining that will be net positive for the environment and for investment interest, because that's what investors are looking for. Yes, green initiatives have really kind of taken aim at Bitcoin in the past, but it seems that dark cloud of kind of climate conspiracy that was coming after Bitcoin is starting to wane, and they're realizing that they can really start capturing some serious emissions and making money out of it. Now, this day in pullback, I mean, yes, we have some red on the charts here. I'm actually kind of more so looking at Wall Street plays. We had Coinbase come out, great earnings. It was a good investment at 440. Coinbase Duck says it's an even better investment at 317. Coinbase, the best investment when you can acquire your share for as cheap as you can. He was buying it at 35. He will be selling this at 1,000. I think Coinbase Global is a really, really solid Wall Street play for me to take. I want to have some Wall Street plays. And now we are getting a little bit of a pullback because of all the chaos, all the fake data. Now we're at 317, testing this previous local high. So in this situation, I'm looking for a little bit more calm on the waters, but I'm actually starting to get an itchy trigger finger when it comes to adding not only Coinbase but Circle. Circle, the company behind USDC, second biggest stablecoin on the planet. Now, this chart, I want to try to catch it for 150 if I can. But we are starting to see a little bit of a rollover, and I apply the same principles. You come back down to the original pump 2 moments, test those as support before moving on into Valhalla. So Circle and Coin are looking pretty juicy on these pullbacks. And there's some huge news behind what Coinbase is about to roll out that will affect altcoins more so than Coinbase directly, I'd say. And some of our favorite Aerodrome, stop it. We're going to take a look at that story and how it plays in a minute here. Got a little bit of more information to dive into, though, before I get too ahead of myself on Circle. Okay. So Circle, back in the day, startup seeded by Goldman Sachs. Goldman Sachs, this came out 2018. Goldman Sachs backed Circle, sees boom in crypto demand from institutional investors despite the bear market, right? So we had headed on into bad prices. We were mid 2018. Vibes were down. Bags were down. Things were not good. Doesn't matter. Goldman Sachs was bullish on crypto infrastructure and particularly stablecoins. Goldman Sachs backed startup Circle had a big uptick in hedge funds and other big league investors joining the digital currency trading platform, making the Circle trade automated. So this is kind of testing and doing automation of trades for Circle, but we know that Goldman Sachs has been behind the investments of this ecosystem for quite some time. And now it's interesting to think Goldman Sachs in 2018 was doing all this work and knowing that crypto was the future. Goldman Sachs is one of the systemically important banks in the United States. And yes, they received bailouts, bank bailouts in 2007, 2008. Because actually, the government didn't want to act like they were playing picks and choosies with banks. So they gave bailouts to basically every single one of them. Goldman Sachs, JP Morgan, even banks that were not financially distressed at the time received those juicy bailouts. And man, now they're able to invest into Circle in 2018. They're killing it, right? Absolutely killing it. And this is such a punchline is Goldman Sachs loves Bitcoin so much. They told their clients not to buy it so that they can buy more and they can invest in the stablecoin super cycle to come through Circle, all at the same time that they're telling you, me, everyone at home not to buy Bitcoin, right? Through the years. And this includes their investment in Circle. So when I see something as cooked into the Inside Players Club as Circle, as Coinbase, it makes me want to invest from the outside. I see connections, I see long-term rollouts, how they're kind of paving the way for this new American crypto infrastructure. This initiative from Paul Atkins that came out late last night. No one even noticed the intentions of Paul Atkins last night, which I think is extremely bullish. And not to mention Goldman Sachs telling people not to buy. We had Circle. Look at this. The company aims to sell 9.6 million shares. This is a little bit of time ago. Shareholders more, yada, yada. Circle will trade NASDAQ with under JP Morgan, Citi, and Goldman Sachs, all lead underwriters on Circle. Jamie Dimon, the "you're fired if you mess with Bitcoin" guy. It's so incredible to see JP Morgan, Citi, Goldman Sachs, all of these banks, these massive systemically important systems that were so adamantly against Bitcoin, in the background investing seed capital into now what is the second biggest stablecoin on the planet. They've quietly killed it. They're laughing in people's faces that listen to them. They're laughing at them because they got left behind. This is like when they say it's time to lock in, like all the distractions going on in the world, the cultural distractions, the Sweeney stuff. As hilarious as it may be, I am locked in on making as much value as I humanly can in this season for my family. I'm leaving all those other distractions out on the other side. Unless they physically involve me or my family, I do not care. I am focusing on the money-making season that we're in, and I am hoping that you are locked in for what's coming. I'm super excited because so far it's left a lot on the table. This is the 2022 to 2025 alt season visualized from a great trader, Follis. This is so crazy. This is the others to BTC, all others in crypto compared to Bitcoin, and it has been a ride downhill for quite some time. Now, I do want to go check a look at Bitcoin dominance and kind of see where we're at with Bitcoin dominance. I'd imagine it's been trying to tick back up. Yes, it has been trying to tick back up on the daily. Let's check out the weekly and see where it is. I want to go here. Oh, give me a little bit of, see, this is gonna, oh, there we go. There we go. Just takes a little bit of time. Takes a little bit of time today. We're slugging along. Got to go to btc.d though. Gotta give me that. btc.d. There we go. That's the 4 hour. Go to the weekly. Well, it's kind of setting up a little W pattern there, isn't it? Doesn't want to give me the weekly. I know Bitcoin dominance is up big right now. Let me pull this up. Here we go. Yeah, so this is kind of terrifying. Now, what is terrifying about this is it is a just constant slow grind to the upside. Now, I do feel like there's a breaking point between where we're at now and 70% market dominance, where Bitcoin hits that need to hit the relief valve. How far Bitcoin dominance comes down to is really the big conversation for altcoins. I'm not going to be holding my altcoins waiting to hit this bottom trend line. I will be jeeting the hell out of my altcoins if we come near the 50% mark on Bitcoin dominance. So that is what I'm looking at. Looks like Seth Shepard's hoping we reject at 62%. We are right on the doorway there, buddy. We're at 61.9% right now. So we'll see if that ends up happening. But man, this is what's happening. Like, we see government interest, we see ETF inflows, we see massive Wall Street takeover of Bitcoin, and it's just a slow grind to the upside with these tiny little 20% blips along the way. I think that the larger ecosystem of altcoins got a breath of fresh air that's not even being realized by the vast majority of holders, though. And I can tell because I scrolled Twitter this morning, and man, people were down bad. There is major infrastructural changes coming to our finance markets, not just on the crypto side, but on the regular, kind of Wall Street investor, institutional player side. And it is through Paul Atkins and his words yesterday on Project Crypto. He's rolling out this commission. It's a commission-wide push to modernize security rules and move U.S. financial markets on chain. Digging a little deeper, He is excited about the new regulatory framework. Upon signing the Genius Act into law, he is pleased that President Trump endorsed congressional efforts to pass crypto market structure and legislation by the end of the year, commending the House Representatives for garnering such strong bipartisan support. The intention here is to tokenize American markets. The size of the American markets has been completely understated. Just the size of our real estate industry here in the US is $120 trillion. $120 trillion just in that industry. Like, tokenizing is a test bed situation that I am investing into. Real world assets are test bed applications of moving our current data and financial information onto a new secure data set. That is what it is. It's a transfer of one Web 2 environment to Web 3, and Ondo, Chainlink, projects like that I feel like are well positioned. Plume is probably one of the smaller RWA projects that I hold, but just looking and being involved and seeing how RWAs are being implemented, which institutions, which investors are backing each product, I think is going to matter majorly in the next coming bull market here. So now what we have, Coinbase also coming out and reemphasizing their plan to launch tokenized stocks and prediction markets for US users. Something new to this is they added in prediction markets. They want to compete. It looks like with Kalshi and Polymarket. It looks like the Kalshi and Polymarket might be competitors that Coinbase might be eyeballing here, but Coinbase rolled out quite a bit in their XRP dropped to 289. Oh my God. Somebody call Brad Garlinghouse. The price is down. Coinbase is becoming an everything exchange. All assets will inevitably move on chain. So we want to have everything in one place to trade. Incoming DEX integration, a decentralized exchange integration, where you can access millions of assets, expansion of derivatives offerings, and tokenized equities and more. So when I read this, I'm thinking Aerodrome, baby. I'm thinking Aerodrome. And Aerodrome is a very small market cap project. I think that the landing pad that Coinbase is building out for institutions to kind of wet their beak into altcoins, a lot of those swaps, a lot of that DEX action is going to be happening here on Aerodrome. And Aerodrome is completely slept on. 77 cents. It is pretty close to my preferred entry points. We're not like too far off. If you're backed up, I like getting in more Aerodrome at around 50 cents from the way this chart's designed. But right now we are in the middle of a pullback. And if you want to look at this as a trending up into the right kind of chop process that we're going into right now, which I absolutely do see it as that, this might have to pick up some at 70 cents, honestly. Let's see where we're at here. Not at 89 cents. What you doing? We're at 77 cents. You give me the wrong data, internet. Let's go here to the daily. Seeing this, actually, let's trend this out. Let's trend this out and see what I should be watching over the weekend. Eventually pad out the bags of my Aerodrome holdings. I've been buying Aerodrome for quite some time since it came out. Let's see. Yes. Around like there, like just generally 70 cents, not that bad. Yeah, and if we have some black swan, zombies come out and start eating people's dogs, then yes, we lose the trend line. But I might take a stab at adding just a little bit more to the bags if we do hit that zone right there. Now, when I see Coinbase doing this DEX integration, and then I look down and see tokenized equities, I think that Ondo is well under discovered, under talked about. Its connection, Ondo's Securitize and Biddle project build out directly tied to Paul Atkins, who was on the board of Securitize at the time of the Biddle build out at Securitize, involving Ondo. Biddle build out. What a terrible combination of words. Paul Atkins, I think, is pretty important in the rollout, the infrastructure of RWAs. He's in place as the SEC chair right now, and I think that they want to make it happen. So I am still very, very excited about Ondo. This is where it's kind of like you got to know the guy or you got to know something on the guy type situation that altcoins are in right now. Because honestly, like a lot of altcoins are probably going to die. We're going to see a lot of altcoins die over the next year or two here. So getting out before the music stops, something important, making sure that the connections are still there. And the SEC is in the background doing some pretty major stuff. This is the DeFi investor kind of highlighting it. Most tokens have been deemed non-securities, launching new initiatives with a goal of tokenizing all assets, which I was just talking about. ICOs and airdrops will be legalized. Good job. Good news for Jeff at the blockchain or DeFi crypto and airdrops. There you guys go. And now software engineers will be protected. So some interesting things are happening in the background. I got my man DeFi crypto and airdrops in the chat here. Stacking free arrow for the community. That is right. Yes, you are. Make sure to join our Discord. Get access to them. Get your front row seat to. I mean, you guys are doing some serious work. The DeFi workshops. Ondo has a seat at the table. Biddle for BlackRock, and BlackRock controls politicians. Pretty much. So that's like when I look at Ondo, it's not just some random ticker that I'm picking up. There's a lot of research and a lot of overlapping connections of people involved with the build out of projects like this that make me enticed. They also have involvement from Patrick McHenry, a previous, potentially current U.S. Elected official, Patrick McHenry. But I see a lot of overlap with Ondo and BlackRock, Larry Fink, and the current SEC chair. Those are the people that are on the in crowd. And I kind of want to be positioning my portfolio around plays that might be part of the in crowd that gets to tokenize, what our derivatives market in the US is worth in 2 quadrillion plus zones. Okay, there's a lot of money on the table for us to tokenize. We're currently at like a $3, maybe $4 trillion market cap, like probably like 3.6 right now. There's so much money out there. Like money can be so abundant if you just let it be. If you let your mind really dig into the research, really dig into the conviction, money is honestly, even in reality, it's just an illusion. The Fed just prints it, right? The Fed just prints it. Like you had, let's say $100,000 last year. Now that's worth $86,000. Congratulations, Susie. Good job on saving all of your money. That's the reality of money. That's the reality of money. The biggest risk for me is not taking a risk, but not being involved in this transition. I have to, because if I leave it in cash, I'm just losing like 10% a year. What is that? Like over and over again, just losing constantly. Unbelievable. I'm sorry. I'm trying. Maybe I'll enter that crash out zone. I'm trying not to, but these are the times that we live in right now. I'm a father of 4 kids. And I want to take care of my family the best way that I possibly can. And seeing how they're literally telling us, hi, we're tokenizing Wall Street. Hi, we're going to be working with crypto-related projects. They've even made it specific enough to say American-based crypto projects are going to have preference. The source material from the White House report earlier this week, preference on the information of the polling, largely coming from American-backed crypto organizations. Just stuff to think about. These things matter. Now, shout out to Sneck. Looks like got listed on a tier 1 exchange, crypto.com. I want to go look at Sneck's graph. Let's go check out Sneck. Hold that thought, Vet. Hold that thought, baby. I got your Vet sounds like he's about ready to take a trip here. Maybe going to New York. So Sneck, nice little bounce. Okay. We're in mid-range moment. We're straight mid-range of its general price action history. But pretty damn good. You held up right on the top of that previous channel. You bounced hard. Now you fight for this one, right? This is what I'm seeing on Sneck. You fight for this one. You grab this one. It's just a constant battle. You have to come back down, prove support points before moving up. Sneck getting that tier 1 exchange listing, probably going to help the community. ADA gang is literally a gang. They will cut you if you don't hold Cardano. It is what it is. It is what it is. Now, Veteran Crypto, my man, heading to RWA Summit in New York in September. Whoa! You're going to New York. Excited to network and see about getting some alpha on RWAs and what is coming. It's going with, is Jeff going? I want to know if Jeff's going. He tagged us. I'll try to make it happen, man. We should try to bring this up and see if we can get a family trip, right? A family trip out to New York on the Big Apple. We take a bite out of the Big Apple real quick. You know, last time I went to New York, it was awesome. I went February of 2020. I stayed in a Airbnb that was ran by Russians. They all had giant fuzzy muskrat hats on. And the Airbnb was it was like a 5-foot wide section of Times Square that just went straight up, and it was right next to Burger King. Right next to Burger King. It's absolutely crazy. And you know what? My wife was a fashion designer at the time. We showed up to the fashion show. Her male model didn't show up. She made me walk in New York Fashion Week in freaking work boots, man. I walked New York Fashion Week in work boots. That's right. I got it. I got what it takes to do it. Got me on a New York rant there. Venture crypto. Sorry about it. Let's take a look at some projects here, though. Let's look at the ecosystem. See where this big pullback. I mean, when I see a pullback like this morning, it makes me want to go shopping. I see a sea of red. I want to know what's on sale. I want to know where the juicy buys are. I want to know where the projects that I've been yapping about that have actual bullish fundamentals. Where is the price? Mamo, where you at? Oh, you bouncing right off the channel top. This is it. This is it. This is Mamo's moment. Mamo is bouncing right off the. For anyone that doesn't know what Mamo is, when I talk about how excited I am and was about Aerodrome, finding Aerodrome and expecting it to be a DEX within base. Now, Mamo is an AI agent that does your DeFi for you. It is a DeFi AI agent that you tell parameters of how much yield you want to get on which token, on which network. It goes out, does the work for you. This is developed out of the minds behind Moonwell. Moonwell is very plugged into the Coinbase Builders Inside Club. And Mamo is a AI agent child from that realm. This is a micro cap at $30 million. Extremely high risk, extremely high reward. I might have to pull this off. Samsung saying they're not Russian. How do you know, man? There might have been Chechen. Mamo. I'm probably gonna have to buy some. I'm buying some Mamo, and it feels fun saying I'm buying some Mamo. You know what that sounds like. So Mamo's looking actually pretty good in terms of entry points. I want to look at Marinade as well. Marinade is from the Solana ecosystem. I really like the TVL that's on Marinade. It's a staking mechanism that's heavily used by a lot of large institutions that are trying to get these ETFs with staking approved for Solana. Is down bad. But man, if it finds that footing right there, this could be a real good moment for it. Mamo is going to be big. A lot of people like Mamo, huh? I like Mamo too. I think Mamo's going to be a pretty good job. Pretty good project. You never heard of Mamo? Seth, where you been? Where you been? Well, God. You know what? Freedom guy.
You are banned!
Would be a shame. Would be a shame. Right. So now, hold on, I gotta ban someone real quick. I want to go look at my other to buy lists. Maybe I'll add to my portfolio here because I want to get this black hole project. We're at 92 cents right now. It's kind of writhing around these like recent pullbacks, and this is kind of interesting. A brand new project, been very down only-ish the last like day or so. About 90 cents. I think Brian was able to snag some real cheap in the 80-cent realm. It's total psycho. Black hole is from the AVAX ecosystem, DeFi on AVAX, so that kind of interests me right now. But let's go look at the broader markets, not just the stuff I've been looking at. And you let me know if you're looking at a project that might be at a good entry point. Let's see here. Research Coin. God, I know. I looked at Research Coin. Those connections with Brian Armstrong on Research Coin, that stuff's super interesting to me. Like, because the Research Coin graph looks good from a just a trader standpoint, and then they got that connection with Brian Armstrong. So Let's see here. The things that are up are stable coins. We are in danger. Gold, well-known stable coin. Not really. Gold's been doing pretty good. At 3,300 a piece. 33 faux. Gold's doing just fine. It's funny. We're like almost all the way deep orange again in terms of the altcoin index. We are almost firmly planted back in Bitcoin season. Oh, Jesus. Now, let's see what the biggest pain point is. Who's lost them? Hyperliquid down into the 30s. Okay. You know, one thing I saw that I liked is on the announcement of Coinbase perpetuals, Hyperliquid didn't lose a bunch. Hyperliquid didn't lose a lot of ground when Coinbase came out with their perpetuals. It's already bounced off this range high, this, kind of earlier local high. That's about $32. And you kind of got progressive ones. It's cutting through a lot of them right now. So we might actually need to kind of track it. I expect Hyperliquid can find that footing at $30, but I will watch this. And if 110 comes or we keep losing on Bitcoin, baby, that's where we start visiting these levels I'm talking about here. That's where you hear the beep, beep, beep as I'm backing up the truck, filling up on these hyper speculative altcoins. Print money. Now, yeah, $30 looks pretty reasonable here. $30. That wouldn't be crazy if there would be a $30 pullback. And Charles ripped apart Cardano whale on X last month. I've been a little pissed. Oh, snap. I didn't know that happened. Ripped apart Cardano whale. Went after its own, man. Went after its own. That's what happens in gangs. Of course, Charles isn't a gang. God. It'd be, the XRP has an army. Why can't Cardano have something like that? Would it be like the ADA warlords, ADA wrangleers, something fun. Maybe like we got to make ADA cooler. We have to make ADA cool again. Okay. SWI 354. Big pullback on SWI. We have the quantum. The Kardashians. Oh my God. That's it. The Kardashians. We did it. I knew you would do this, chat. Gemini did it. The Kardashians. Unbelievable. SWI has been pulling back hard. Now, SWI pumped up to about $4. It actually pumped more than this, man. It's not showing you the pumpamentals of SWI. It pumped up to $4.40. So it pumped hard. It has pulled back just as hard. It is trying to find footing right here. I know did a big move into SWI at about $2. I did that. SWI currently, let's kind of back up and see if we can get some good feel for, let's actually map out SWI a little bit here, because SWI is like this darling of the alt season, man. I mean, the SWI has really been holding up well. SWI has been doing sweet. Now let's go here. So we're on weekly. We got market side for B up. We were riding the juice of a recently printed green dot. But honestly, you didn't get really much juice out of that squeeze yet. And now we're having a pretty big pullback. Money flow still nice and up there. Money flow is still nice and up there. I mean, yes, we've had a little bit of a dent from this pullback, but honestly, if Bitcoin just eats this punch from this morning and keeps moving back up to 120, dude, I mean, you're gonna see SWI going past all-time highs. I feel that way. Now how high it can go, it generally, in a basic expectation of alt season as it's happened in the past, then it'd be around $10 if they kept the tokenomics the same. It would be, $20 in a hyperbull situation if they kept the tokenomics the same. But SWI, it's really got my attention just from, it's developed from the same kind of teams that were building out the Facebook Libra system, the crypto token that that Facebook was trying to roll out. Congress got pissed, yelled at Zuckerberg. He's like, "I'm sorry," and then the team split up, and they basically made Sui and then Aptos. Sui has definitely garnered that attention over Aptos. God, I got some of those calluses. Goddamn. Yeah, right now for Sui, I mean, the last buy moment that I was able to get in, this is family portfolio stuff here, so you guys getting inside info, is $2. You know, and it was made from this original pump 2 moment of about $2. I felt good about it in this zone. Now where we're at, we gotta. I hope we don't go back down to $2. In the short term, I mean, it is looking like it's got to find support. It's trying to find support right now. The money flow looks good, though. You know, I mean, I think what happens to SWI is highly dependent on if Bitcoin can keep, you know, kind of bull moosing through this recent pullback. I mean, the pullback on the weekly is pretty substantial, right? We're getting a red dot on the weekly. We're getting some bearish signals on the weekly. There's no denial, and we are only 4 weeks into this. How high can Aerodrome go? Well, I mean, we're talking a decentralized exchange built inside of Coinbase, one of the biggest crypto apps on the planet. It's shilled to institutions, which drive high volume levels. I mean, I think expecting Aerodrome to do a quarter of what Uniswap did last cycle is extremely conservative and honestly bearish and honestly FUD. But let's see what that FUD would end up looking. Let's see what, if Aerodrome was able to do a quarter of what Uniswap did last cycle, that's FUD for one, but what does the price come out to? Let's go check this out. I think it's around $5. I think it's around $5. Oh man, I don't know if this is going to pull up for me. My data set. Because where my thought on Aerodrome is this. I'll just kind of talk about Aerodrome for a bit. So last cycle, Uniswap had a very similar kind of lore going for it. Uniswap last cycle accomplished some really, really great things. It was released in the right time. It pumped up to $23 billion at its peak, and then has fallen back down, and now it's building up progressive higher lows, right, in this current kind of accumulation range. Uniswap currently sits at a $5.6 billion market cap. Now, Aerodrome, on the other hand, is being integrated directly with Coinbase. A lot of regulatory dark clouds are leaving the bald head of Brian Armstrong. The buys on Bitcoin are increasing. The institutional exposure to their crypto products is increasing. There's a lot of clarity on what these major money bag holding companies can do now with their cash, because the rules are set, right? So we're seeing that railway built. Aerodrome, I would say, is poised to capture at least a $5 billion market cap. It's at a $672 million market cap right now. I'd say an easy 8-9x from where we're currently at. I mean, that's just like a layup. But my harder sided expectations are around 10 billion, accomplishing half of what Uniswap did last cycle. That still feels like FUD to me. And it's a pretty conservative price target that I could actually take profits on and do really, really well from. You know, if they reach a $10 billion market cap, you know, I'm looking at, or what is it, like an 18x or something like that from current prices. So not bad. You know, I've done worse in other markets. What is Mamo, bro? Bro, if there is even a bullish sneeze on Mamo, if there is a singular post like from Coinbase directing traffic to an AI agent within the Coinbase app or the wallet that's using Mamo, if anything bullish sneezes on this project, it's 3xing. You know, if you're hitting, like, this is a micro cap. And if I'm investing in it, I'm not going after it with a big chunk of my bag. I would be taking a high risk, high reward play. I mean, where everyone's always asking me, like, well, how do you make 1,000x in crypto? You have to spend countless hours researching and then taking risks on products that you find within your research. This is one that I found within my research. Is actually Luke Youngblood, one of the leaders and founders of Moonwell, came on the Blockchain Basement and told me about the release of Mammo before it even released. So if you watched the Blockchain Basement live video, is about a month and a half ago, you literally were able to get in on this thing at, what is this? Jesus, like 1 cent, 1.3 cents. Now it's at 10 cents. So that's a 10x and you're down, right? From the previous high. I think that if you even, if Brian Armstrong and Coinbase even sneeze bullishness on Mammo, you're 3x them. This is one of the ones that has the potential to do ballistic movements. You know, this is the one that it's kind of in line with Constellation DAG. I hold Constellation DAG. I don't hold Mammo. I'm telling you guys about Mammo, going off on it even before I hold it. Constellation DAG is a project that's been working with the US government for longer than any other project. I mean, outside of maybe the deep state actors that created Ethereum and all those things within that. But Constellation DAG, micro cap, again, it's $106 million market cap. These are data encryption focused security blockchain. It's been working with the Department of Defense, the Air Force, the Navy for a long time. They've made it through multiple different versions of what the project is they're working on with the government, called Iron Spider. So Constellation is very underdiscovered as well. There's a lot of opportunity. You just have to be willing to take the risk. And if you're taking a risk with money that you literally are hoping to have tomorrow to eat with or to pay your mortgage, you're doing it wrong. You're going to make emotional decisions. You're going to get crushed. You're going to get wrecked. You have to emotionally disconnect from the money. You're looking at percentages gained. You're looking at Bitcoin gained in this environment, folks. It is all about getting more Bitcoin. Powell, officially the destroyer. There is no way that Jerome Powell didn't know that they faked the job report. There is no way that he didn't knowingly lie to the American people yesterday, saying the economy's strong. There is no way that I expect that. Maybe I'm too jaded. You know, I did come up in the, what am I? I'm like 37 years old when I was about 5th grade, 6th grade, New York, you know, found passports in a melted building, that whole conversation. I grew up in that realm. Everything's been a psyop for me. Everything that I've seen from the top released down has been a psyop. So sounds like Trump has cause to remove Powell. That would be a twist. Veteran crypto, DeFi crypto and airdrops, that would be a twist. Drew, did you form your new metal band yet? Girl and I asked for free VIP to your first show. Sure. I am going to get back into heavy metal. That's the thing right now, you guys. We're heading into the weekend. Like, I don't feel like losing a bunch of sleep over getting any trades in right now. I really want to get some data on how this weekend acts. The last few weekends, we've actually been kind of bullish, which has been kind of weird. Usually we get the washouts, you know, and yeah, we're still getting like occasional kind of snap crashes on Sunday. We're going into this with some red blood diamonds, though. So I am keeping that in mind. What is going on, brother? Bitcoin will go down more, or should I sleep with ease? Dude, I mean, I think you sleep with ease either way, man. Either way. Kabark or Kaibark? Hanamas? I'm sorry I slaughtered your name. Sleep easy, though. Either way, you know? Because really what we know is that the system is now reliant on a third wheel. The system of fiat currency is now integrating stable coins and Bitcoin to stay alive for longer. And we are positioned well. I'm glad that we have had this pullback, and I'm going to be taking advantage. I'm actually looking at those charts. I think Moonwell and Mammo have been the ones that bother me the most not holding. So those kind of look intriguing to me. Drew, what's your old band's name? Old band name is 2 Minutes Darker. I'll show you my old band. Man, this is the God. You're making me reminisce. Man. I played a lot of shows. I did a lot of things. This is the old band here, 2 Minutes Darker. We made this video for the Raven, Edgar Allan Poe remake. Pretty cool video. Just go give us a shout. We don't have many subscribers because I never really pushed it. Got like 50, 60,000 views on this one, but really where we had juice was Spotify, and then touring. And I played a long time, had a really good experience in music, and I plan to get that back because through Bitcoin and crypto, I am taking back control of my time. That is the thing here, is that we are beating the clock because we are not wasting our hours away slaving over fiat currency that the Fed will just print more of and devalue after the fact. No, we're not giving our future to those crony suits. We can take that power back ourselves. Make sure you use our code BASE20 or DC20, get 20% off in Arculus Cold Storage Wallet. I got these things all over the place, man. Arculus is the best when it comes to cold storage. Easy to use, 3-factor authentication. Do what you love. Life is too short. That's right, pizza man. And eat pizza. YouTube ads are on. Unbelievable. Well, you know what? I am headed into a Friday evening. I'm so excited to be in this market with you guys. I'm so excited to see the advancement of my bags up and to the right to the damn moon, because we're going to need it. There's a lot of changes that are coming to the world, and we should do a giveaway. I'm going to set up a giveaway for next week. Absolutely. Really appreciate you guys. Sufficient Enough, Sleepy Hollow, Crypto, Pizza Man, all the peeps here. Now I'm going to go off, take care of the kids, and I hope you do the same. Give your loved ones a kiss, a hug, and I will see you on the other side.
We just wanted to take a quick second to shout out our sponsor, Arculus. They are a cold storage hardware wallet, helps you secure all of your digital assets for the future. Just tap this thing to the back of your phone and boom, you're in. We wouldn't be able to do this without them, but also wouldn't be able to do this without you guys, the Disco fam. You've supported us a lot over the years. If you want to support the channel now, just use the code DC20. It gets you 20% off this card. It's the #1 way you can support this channel going forward. Thank you for your support. We'll see you at the top.